Hey there, movie freaks, true believers, game fanatics, all my people. This is James Hancock. I'm here to continue my Dark Souls walkthrough. It's been kind of a crazy weekend, so I haven't been able to play to the degree that I would like. I'm just actually being paranoid now. I'm just gonna check my mic, make sure I'm still recording. I am indeed. Sorry about that. I should have checked that before I started. But today I'm gonna do a little cleanup for an area that I never quite finished beforehand, but also rejoin a covenant in order to make a certain person appear down in Blighttown, and also kill one of my favorite bosses that's ever been created in video games. So this is going to take me back over to the Darkroot Basin. If you recall, when I came through here before and I joined the that PvP covenant, there's a little area with some trash that I never finished clearing up. But on the other side of that gorge, there is the area where you can get the Enchanted Ember as well as fight Sif. And by fighting Sif, you get a really, really crucial magical item that I need in order to fight the four kings down in the New Londo Ruins. This is me playing a little dress up. As much as I love my red legs and gloves, I'm thinking it's time for a switch. Maybe it's time to be a little more hardcore, a little more evil looking. So this is actually kind of a faith build set, but in the end, gear doesn't really matter that much. It's all a matter of just having a badass looking character, and I think this looks pretty cool. So I turned over the Dark Ember so I can make those kind of weapons, but yeah, I'm just doing a little rearranging. I'm also going to check out the Xanthus set, because the Xanthus set is a really, really great light build. The people at Gay for Games wear a lot of those pieces as well, because the stats are excellent for the weight relative to the stats, but I just don't think it looks that cool, so I'm going to swap it back out. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to invest mats yet into the gloves and legs, but I very well might, because I don't think these take Twinkling Titanite. I think that set just takes regular, but I could be wrong about that. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you've seen me fuck up a million times wearing the wrong ring into combat, and so I just want to make sure I got my sorcery ring on, because this fight, the very first thing I'm going to do pretty much is take on Sif, and Sif is a fun boss to fight, but it does hit real hard, and so you want a decent shield if you're planning on getting in melee range of the boss at all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jack up my Grass Crest shield as high as possible. Probably not the best shield in terms of the resistances, but what I love is that stamina regen. When you're in a boss fight, especially if you're blocking your shield, you're constantly losing your stamina, you're constantly rolling, and just having that stamina come back, it's a huge advantage. So I'll swap out a little bit of damage in exchange for faster recovery time any day of the week. So it's time to also just start using some of these mats that have been accumulating. So turning it into a +6, and now I'm going to take it all the way to +10. So this shield now is a keeper. I might jack up a few more of my shields, but yeah, this one. There's one more thing like the large something ember that's going to allow me to take it to +15, but I'm stuck at +10 for now, but that is totally fine. Sif has two different ways you can kind of introduce yourself to the boss, and if you, let me see if I have my memory of this correctly, it's either if you kill Artorias first and free him of his curse in the expansion pack and then fight Sif. There's some weird order of operation. If you do something before you fight Sif, the intro is different because Sif will bow to you out of respect, but then you still fight. You should recognize this area. I came through here before, way earlier in the game, and it's it's a pretty easy spot. But for me, I like fighting Sif early on just because it's a fun boss. You get a ton of souls, and it gives me the item that allows me to go into the New Londo Ruins and walk around. I think it's like the Abyss, where if you try to walk in there without this particular ring, you just fall through the floor. So you really have to have, basically you just can't do the New Londo Ruins without it. And because one of my goals is to join this special covenant that requires me to kill the four kings before doing any of the main bosses, I've got some limitations on the order in which I do things, just because I want to join this one covenant that I've never successfully joined before, because I've always chosen a different order of operations in the past. So I'm just experimenting and learning as I go, but this is so cool about the Dark Souls franchise, is how much depth there is and how there's always more to learn. And decisions matter. If you kill an NPC or choose a certain path or neglect a certain quest, there are consequences, and that matters. So here I am just running along through this area. These guys are all hostile again to me because I joined a different covenant. But I'm going to be rejoining it because down in Blighttown there is an area where I showed you before where Shiva and his ninja bodyguard appears, but they don't appear unless you're part of that covenant. But I want to show you how if you kill that ninja, you get a very special dexterity or agility ring, or yeah, dexterity. And I just want to make sure that I'm showing that. And there's a way to kill the ninja without aggroing Shiva and maintaining being friendly. But once again, I have to be part of that covenant. I can't join the covenant while those people are chasing me, so I need to run back once they've lost interest. So this is me just realizing those guys aren't going to stop chasing me. So I'm going to run all the way to Sif and take on... I mean, in the history of gameplay, there are a lot of legendary bosses. I mean, in World of Warcraft, you got Yogg-Saron, and I don't know, you can go all the way back to like Legend of Zelda and Ganon, but when it comes to boss design, I don't know if there's a cooler looking boss ever in any video game than Sif. I also just like the name Sif because when I was a little kid, I used to read Thor comics, and Sif was his lady friend that he'd go out and fuck people up with. So I've always liked it. And then there was a Sif in World of Warcraft, part of like the Ulduar expansion. So yes, it's a very, very popular mythological name. But Sif here basically is the dog bodyguard that used to hang with Artorias, and Artorias is a major figure in Dark Souls lore. And I think that is the Sword of Artorias, which is huge. It shouldn't be that big, but Sword of Artorias is a really, really cool weapon that you can get both in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, and it's a left-handed weapon. And when I fight Artorias later on, you'll see that he's got a broken arm, and he's basically gone hollow, or he's been corrupted by the demons. Sif is just so damn gorgeous. I mean, you're looking at a beautiful, kick-ass, like, wolf dog or husky wielding a giant fucking sword in its mouth. I mean, that is just awe-inspiring how cool that is. And it's also a really, really fun fight. So here's the thing to keep in mind. Sif loves to swing, which you can block, which is not a big deal. Sif also likes to sometimes swing twice. And when that happens, I don't care how much stamina you have or how much protection you have, it's going to fuck you up. So just be ready and be aware of the double attacks like that. Because you want to dodge them, get the hell out of the way, or just eat them and then heal. But if you are a Pyromancer, this is going to be the easiest boss fight of the game because Sif is incredibly weak. See, that was the double swing I was talking about. How about it took away a third of my health, even though I did have my shield up. So you just want to get underneath to heal. Sif is not too keen on you hanging out underneath him. I don't know if it's a him or a her, but if you hang out, he's going to do a big giant leap. I'm just whacking the dagger to see if it's doing any damage. But I'm just going to whip up my souls now. I'm realizing that it's going to be pretty easy just to stay out of range of his sword and just finish him off with my spells. And yeah, bye-bye Sif. I wish the fight would last longer. But yeah, that Covenant of Artorias, that ring, when you go to the New Londo Ruins, there's this big, horrible, black pit of death that you will eventually encounter. And if you drop down into it, you just fall, and die. But if you put on the Covenant of Artorias, you will land on your feet, and you'll begin the Four Kings fight. And the Four Kings fight is one of those fights that makes me really disoriented and kind of makes me scared when I do it because these different kings start materializing, and if you get behind in the fight, then you can very rapidly get overwhelmed by having too many out at once. But if you deliver a high amount of damage, only a few kings will appear, but they just keep coming and coming. This is me making a mistake. In the expansion, you go back in time and run through this area again, but there's a path up there, and obviously I was getting my time periods confused. But I will be coming back to this area, but many thousand years earlier, later in the game, and to fight Artorias and this horrible fucking dragon, and arguably the toughest boss in the game, Manus. But Manus is required viewing and is part of just the learning experience of playing Dark Souls. This room's full of these little mushroom people. They love to dodge, and they're pretty resistant to magic, so I'm just saying screw it. Because my goal now is to run back and join, I think it's called the Forest Keeper Covenant. Because my next video, my next zone, I will be taking what I've been promising all along, taking the shitty route down to Blighttown just to show it, clearing that whole area out, doing a few things. One thing in Blighttown, look at these guys. They're just now losing interest in walking back. So those guys were pretty persistent. And then I'll be going into the Great Hollow. And the Great Hollow is the most important zone in the game for gathering mats for upgrading gear. But yeah, I wanted to put off doing that as long as humanly possible. But it won't be that bad. And once I get down to the bottom of the Great Hollow, There's another covenant I can join, which allows you to turn into a dragon, which is really cool. And by the end of that, I should be strong enough and powerful enough to brave the New Londo ruins. And then it'll be just a matter of kind of wrapping up the final bosses. But yeah, it's amazing just how much content there is to explore. All right, now that I've rejoined that covenant, they're all friendly to me again. I'm just going to get my health and spells back because I'm about to take on a whole bunch of bad guys. I'm also going to equip all my souls and consume them because I'm just ready to start passing some levels. Like I said in a previous video, I will be around a level 100 by the time I'm through this playthrough. But I am getting a little nervous about being strong enough for the Four Kings. I just want to make sure that I'm as jacked as humanly possible before I dig into that. The reason I'm a little nervous is that because I won't have Crystal Soul Spear, because Crystal Soul Spear I get in the Duke's Archives, but I can't go to the Duke's Archives. Oh, right here is where Shiva and his bodyguard usually are, but right now they're down in Blighttown because they've rejoined, so I was just checking to make sure they're where I want them to be. All these guys are friendly to me, so now it's time to go clean up some of these tree people that I should have done a long, long time ago and get Shiva's armor. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, ordinarily, if you go to the Duke's Archives, that's where you get the Crystal Soul Spear, which is an awesome spell to use against the Four Kings, but because of this weird covenant I want to join, which I never have, I can't open up the Duke's Archives by turning in the... I'm not going to call it the bowl. What the fuck is it called? Anyway, you know the item. It's the item that basically drops a couple portals and allows you to take on the main bosses of the game. I can't turn in that bowl and then still join this covenant until the Four Kings are dead. So I've just got this narrow path. So since I'm on kind of a narrow path, I'm just very, very paranoid about getting as powerful as humanly possible in that limited amount of time. I want to get as many souls as I possibly can. These guys are kind of boring to fight. Pretty easy to fight. They're much stronger than the other ones. You notice they're able to take 2 hits instead of 1, and they dodge a lot better. But yeah, it's just, I apologize for making you endure this, but because it is new, I just wanted to make sure that you at least saw it. If you run through here too quickly, they will gang up on you and kind of jump out from all these different areas all around you. So walk just slowly into the area and just keep pulling them out, and you can kill them 2 or 3 at a time. And it's not so difficult. But what else is going on while I watch this? Big weekend in terms of podcasting. I did a really fun podcast yesterday about the documentary Senna, which is a 2010 documentary about the Formula One racer Ayrton Senna. I highly recommend you see the movie, and even more importantly, I highly recommend you go to iTunes and go into Wrong Reel and check out the episode that's called Cars, Cinema, and Senna. We have a big conversation about Formula One and the documentary, and my guest is a Formula One fanatic who's done a lot of kind of like amateur racing, so he's got a lot of interesting things to say. But I also made a video that I urge you to watch with Orest Ludwig, where we do a color commentary to the film Bullet in that famous car chase, because I was extremely hungover when I was recording it, and we made a lot of mistakes, and we're really disorganized. So between our own fumbling of lines and my own technical incompetence, it's just a nice comedy of errors to watch. Anyway, now I've got Shiva's armor. I'm just looking over there. I just love how all these zones connect and how they're kind of looking back. But that's that bridge where I fought the Red Drake, who really early on in the game. And I gotta remember, we still have not killed that guy. I'm basically, once I save up enough fire resist gear, we'll go back and kick his ass. He doesn't actually give that many souls, but I just don't like the idea of a really, really cool, powerful Drake hanging out that I haven't killed. But I'll probably do that toward the end of the game once I've racked up a shitload of fire resist gear. Another podcast that I did recently, which I urge people to listen to, is the one we did about OJ Made in America. We did that a couple days ago. If you haven't had a chance to see that 30 for 30 ESPN series yet, even if you're sick of the subject of OJ and if you don't like football, I highly recommend you watch that series. It absolutely is just riveting entertainment. And it's now available on Hulu and a bunch of other platforms. It's a little easier to watch. Or if you have a Time Warner, like whatever cable subscription you have, you can just go to the ESPN website, log into your cable supplier, and then they'll let you watch it there. So that is all the stuff that I have been up to. But yeah, it's just been a crazy couple days, and I've been wanting to play Dark Souls. My whole goal this weekend was to just rip through shitloads of Dark Souls content. But I went out Friday night so hard to the New York Comedy Club and saw the 2 girls who are the hosts of the podcast Guys We Fucked, which is a really, really funny podcast. And then afterwards went to this like club called the Fat Black Pussycat in the village, and it was just a night of excessive alcohol consumption, and I've been playing catch up the rest of the weekend ever since because I've just been feeling so horrible and sweating out booze. But now I'm finally feeling energetic, sharp, and clear, and I'm getting back into Dark Souls. So this is the chasm that separates these two main zones. The reason I need to go back across is, I want to kill these 3 badass like panther creatures because they're some of the coolest creatures in the game by far. And I need to get the Enchanted Ember because I am going to be taking my dagger down the Enchanted route. Below me is where I fought the Hydra. I will be coming back through here because I've got a date with that sorcerer from Ulasil because I want to buy one last spell from her. But before I go see her, I need to kill these panthers and grab the Enchanted Ember. So one drops down first. They can roll towards you and they can really fuck you up. They can leap. They got almost like a similar moveset to Sif in a lot of ways. But the real dangerous part is once you get the first one down, the other 2 drop down and take you on simultaneously. And if you're a light armor character with low health, they can just absolutely shred you. So be very careful. So here he is rolling. If you want to kind of cheat the system a little bit, this area where I'm standing, they won't come all the way down in there. They'll occasionally swipe at you or roll at you, but they'll always kind of back up to this flat area again. So it just gives you a little bit more room to work with. But now both of them are down and they're coming to get me. I'm just trying to save my Soul Spear since Soul Spear is that's my most powerful spell by far right now. But I don't want to overdo it. So I just want to use 1 Soul Spear per cat. And I'm just recognizing I'm starting to do by sound again after I finish my sentences, which means my mouth is getting dry. So God damn, I just wasted a fucking Soul Spear. While I kill this motherfucker, I'm gonna have a sip of water. Yeah, I am rapidly reaching the age where hangovers don't just last like a morning anymore or even a day. Like my hangovers last like 2 days. I can tell I'm still not fully 100%. Granted, I didn't stop boozing until about 4 a.m. on, I guess what would technically be Saturday morning, but I was just such a wreck all day yesterday, and even today, I can tell I'm still not 100%, but I'm sharp enough to play me some Dark Souls, so time to go get one of the most important upgrade items in the game by far. Surrounded by these mushroom people. We will see these mushroom people again down in the Great Hollow. They look kind of stupid, so it's easy to take them lightly, but the big ones you got to watch out for. The big ones are just massive tanks. They have high magic resist, as you can tell. That's one of my most powerful spells, and it barely touched them. But if they get in melee range, they will just punch you down like fucking Mike Tyson. So do not let them hit you. Circle around them or stay back and shoot them. But yeah, if they get their hands on you, it's going to end poorly. Also, speaking of getting your hands on people, last night was UFC 202, which was unreal. Anthony Rumble Johnson knocked out Glover Teixeira in 13 seconds with a punch that would have killed an elephant. I mean, he truly is just the most terrifying human being in the sport when it comes to one-punch knockout power. Cowboy Cerrone had an amazing fight against Rick, the Horror Story, which was just an incredible fight. And yeah, Cowboy used to be a lightweight fighter, but now he's a welterweight fighter, and he looks better than ever. It's like he's been dropping so much water weight for so many years that now he's finally allowing his body to be its natural weight. He's kind of like reaching a new level and reaching his full potential. Of course, now he says he wants to go back down to lightweight and fight Eddie Alvarez, the lightweight champion, a man that he has beaten in the past. But the big main event was obviously Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. Also, back to the game. I'm going back down this little ladder. We're going back down toward the area where we fought the Hydra boss about maybe 10 videos ago. You gotta be super careful down here on this ledge because this is Dark Souls 1 and there's lots of weird little tricks. That little spot right to my left looks like a simple path, but when you walk along it, you gotta really shove your controller into the wall because that little corner will push you over. It's just a classic little example of a little weird little game design. But that little spot right there has killed many, many, many players, so just hug the wall as you go around it. But back to Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz. They fought at welterweight, which was weird because Conor's the featherweight champ and Nate Diaz mostly competes at lightweight. But it was a rematch, and Conor won, and it was just an epic brawl. Super close fight. Both fans of Conor and fans of Nate Diaz are both sides are convinced that their guy won, and in a close fight, it's really, really hard to say. I would lean toward Conor winning 3 out of the 5 rounds, but I can totally understand if people can make a case for it being 3 for Nate. But it was a night that was basically what makes the UFC worth watching. If you don't watch UFC, you are missing the birth and evolution of what I think eventually will be the world's most popular sport. I think I had like 7 heart attacks while watching the fight. It was so dramatic and so exciting, and just had so much, just passion and pain and sacrifice. It's 2 people fighting. It's you take away the balls and the sticks and the uniforms, and you just let people get down to it. Like, I always say this. Actually, this is an important bit. Back to the game, since actually this is a game walkthrough, not a UFC commentary episode. The reason I'm summoning her is that I'm going for the Sorcerer achievement of collecting all the spells, and she has 1 more spell and a staff that I never bought. So, buying Repair. I've never used Repair in any Dark Souls playthrough ever, but I do want the Sorcerer achievement of buying all the spells, or finding all the spells. So,
if thou art in me,
I summoned her, now can send her back, but she's super cool. She's from back in time. But I always put it this way: if you had the world's biggest stadium and you had like a soccer game in one corner and a football game in another corner and a basketball game in another and like a baseball game in another and a hockey, like all these things happening simultaneously, and then someone else said on the announcer, like, a fight's broken out on this field, everybody's going to look at that field. Fighting is interesting. People like watching it, so that is my 2 cents. Anyway, this video is rapidly drawing to a close, so thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please comment, subscribe. That's me taking a bow, and I'll be back really soon to go back down in the horrible spot of Blight Town, and it should be fun. Thanks so much for watching.